Now, when I first became a Sangoma, I was already, say, a person of education. I had entered school as a child of 14 years, and when I became a Sangoma, I was a youth of 16 years. And what my aunt and my grandfather, as well as my maternal grandmother, taught me, shook me to the core of my soul. I found that the mission schools had been teaching me lies about my people all along. Missionaries had told us as children that the only light came to Africa with white people, that before the white man came, we black people had no idea about God. We had no belief in a life after death, and that our people were just a race of savages who used to lie around in the sun, womanize, fight, and drink beer every day. I was suddenly awakened to the fact that Africans had in fact been far greater intellectually than the missionaries were willing to give them credit for. That, like the white man, we had astrology, astronomy, we had surgery. In fact, I found that Zulu surgeons in the early years of the 19th century and the 18th century and even beyond could perform operations which white surgeons were not capable of operating. And the more I learned about my peoples, the more I wanted to learn. And when my initiation under my aunt Mina and my grandfather Zigo had ended, I wanted to know more and more and more. And sometimes I had to pay a ghastly price in order to gain this knowledge. In one place, here in the northwestern Transvaal, my teachers found that I was really uncircumcised. And they told me bluntly that if I wanted to be a member of this secret society, I had to undergo circumcision. And I did, and it was screamingly painful, I assure you, because it was done with a clasp knife, which somebody must have blunted a little bit, just to make sure that I got the message.
Well, I had the same done, but I was asleep at the time, so we have that in common.
And say, in some places in Southern Africa, if you wanted to learn the secrets of a certain secret society, you had to do dreadful things which I cannot repeat here. And at one time, in Barotse land, in the west of what is today Zambia, my teacher said, look, how far are you willing to go in order to become one of us? I said, I am willing to go anywhere. He looked at me and he said, listen, educated man, we are tired of people like you White men come amongst us to milk our minds and then to kill us. We want to be sure that we can trust you. And wait, sir. I said, Great One, I am willing to do anything. He said, are you? I said, yes. And then they went into a graveyard, and from there they removed the hand of a corpse, dead 2 days, and they brought it and they challenged me to cook it and eat it. I did so. And these were the peoples who first told me about a race of highly intelligent beings which they called the Chitauri, the talkers, a race of creatures which look like reptiles, who have ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Through this dreadful act, I was able to gain knowledge which was denied to even the highest Sangomas, because they would not go through the ritual I went through. This is how secret knowledge is protected in Africa. And at one time, let me tell you another thing. Again, in Barotse land, on the border between Angola and North Rhodesia, as it was called, I was brought into a hut. And in the hut was a young woman. She was as black as ebony, and her hair was like a huge black cloud on her head. Her teeth had been sharpened in the Barotse fashion until they looked like those of a reptile. And Mutwa was very puzzled. What's this lady doing here? I'm supposed to spend several nights in this hut, so what is she? What is she doing here? Now, Credo Mutwa, being a frightened Zulu, afraid of women but not afraid of wild animals, decided to sleep with his back to the wall, giving the lady a nice clean bed. And on the following day, Credo Mutwa was fined 15 pounds by the local chief because I had refused a sacred gift. I had been supposed to do something very amazing to this lady to show that I was one of the people.
Bad luck.
Bad luck. But
why, Credo, have you chosen to reveal this knowledge now to a much, much wider audience?
Mr. David, please, Africa is dying. Africa, is being murdered. And we are sitting like bloody fools. And we don't realize what's being done to our people. I have proof that can stand in any true court of law that the disease called AIDS is a man-made disease. And this disease is going to kill 3/4 of South Africa's black people within the next 10 years. There are wars in Africa which make no sense to me as a black man. Please, when people fight a war, Mr. David, why do they fight?